Good evening, YouTube family. T.O. Simplistic Fishing back at you. Hey, tonight we're going into Zone 2 for Lake Fork. So we went over Zone 1, the Google Earth waypoints, as well as the Navionics areas or the offshore hotspots for Zone 1. And now it's time to move on to Zone 2. So tonight we're going over Zone 2 Google waypoints. Here we go. Let's get started on the Zone 2 for the Google Earth waypoints for Lake Fork. Now, if you missed Zone 1, click the link up the top. That'll take you back to that for the Google Earth waypoints. We also did the offshore hotspots for Zone 1 too, so don't forget to take a look at that video. Or just look at the lake breakdowns playlist that we have in our channel, and that'll take you to all the lake breakdowns that we've done, including all of these Lake Fork videos that we're doing. So tonight we're going to talk about Zone 2. Zone 1 was up the Caney Arm. Up here, we covered that. And now we're going to switch over to Zone 2. If you remember me saying, I didn't see tons of laydowns and some of the stuff that I typically see on some of the other waypoint videos that I do. So it may seem restricted a little bit that I didn't find that much. But when we combine them together between the offshore hotspots and what we're finding here as well, I think you're going to find that we have plenty to fish for. So as far as the dates go, I'm actually using October of 2012 as my date. Sometimes I do need to go back and move it to January of 2012. It's a lot brighter image, and when I get up into the creek channels, you'll see here in a little bit, it's a lot easier to see them that way. But for the most part, I'm going to leave it on October of 2012 because I just think the image is a lot clearer and we can kind of see what's going on. So as far as coming up the point, it wasn't that I didn't necessarily see anything that I would have fished from this point all the way up to here, but I just didn't really find any laydowns or anything that would be fish attracting type cover that I needed to mark here. So there are all kinds of good points. So make sure that you go and you watch the offshore hotspots that comes out tomorrow for Zone 2, because we're going to talk about some of these points and some of these really good areas that are out there on Fork today. So moving up here, the first thing that I really noticed from Google Earth waypoint standpoint, I think we're going to talk about this on the offshore spot, is this pond dam. If you've never fished pond dams, especially in the summertime, you need to try it. You can get some really nice fish off these pond dams and they will stack up there very nicely. You can even find them there in the springtime too sometimes. So summer tends to be the best time for me, but I have found them in the springtime, later in the spring, on these pond dams as well. So that would be the first thing that I really found there. And then kind of moving up the bank line, again, not a lot of stuff going on, but this did stand out to me right behind this island. We're going to talk about that island as well. But there is a ditch back in here that's very significant. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see it. And it could be an old creek or something. I just can't see it through the trees. But this ditch is very significant right in here. And if we look at the lake when it's at full or pool, that ditch is not nearly as noticeable. So that would be a very good area to take a look at, especially if you're out there pounding the bank line, early spring, late spring, or even like right now when everything's flooded and it's all jacked up. You're hitting the bank line pretty hard, and this would be a really good area to take a look at. Then I'm kind of move up here back behind the island, having a hard time talking today. And up here, I noticed there's an old roadbed, and you can kind of see from Google Earth that it shows there was an old road here at one time. And then if you zoom in here, you can tell that there's a contour there. There's something going on there where that old roadbed was. So scan in this area right in here, see what you can find. There's obviously some standing timber right in here, but if that's an old roadbed and it might go along that tree line, that could be a really good area to take a look at as well. And then back in here, didn't see too much as far as items to mark for you guys. There is a ramp here in this little cut, so definitely worth fishing there. And it looks like it has some pretty good depth as well. So I would go in there and just check it out, see if you can get anything good out of there. And if you look at this is also an old roadbed. So that might not even be a ramp. That might actually be a roadbed. I thought it was a ramp when I looked at it, but maybe it is a roadbed. But you can see it comes straight out through here. So all of these roadbeds are going to be good on Fork. And if that is a ramp, obviously, as you've heard me say 1,000 times, fish the ramps. Those are like little gold mines sometimes. You've also got this roadbed back in this pocket. So if you come around this corner here, you've got this little pocket that's right here that's got a roadbed in there. And we actually caught a 5-pounder here. I don't know, it was probably a month and a half ago, right around this little area. just working frogs in this pocket, just messing around. And I believe that we were somewhat close to that roadbed. I didn't even realize that roadbed was there when we were there. But anyways, good little pocket to fish in. There's a ramp back there as well. Lots of timber again, so be careful. If you haven't purchased boat lanes for Lake Fork and it's first time going out on Fork and you're coming down to Texas to visit us, man, get the boat lanes. You need them. If you don't have the boat lanes, it's going to be kind of a pain because you're going to be able to use the boat lanes that Texas Parks and Wildlife gives you, but that's only going to get you about halfway to where you want to go. So definitely look out there and find some lanes for Lake Fork. It will definitely pay off. So moving up here, I'm going to keep going up. When we get up here to the creek, a real good significant creek channel. Now this is when the lake is down and you still can't tell the creek channel is there. And if you look at it, when it's really high, let's take it up here a little bit. Now you really can't tell. But if I draw this back to January of 2012, let me get us back there real quick. You'll be able to see that I can start seeing this creek channel a lot better. It's just going to start to show up for me. Well, I thought it was, but apparently not. So I lied to you. But anyways, on one of these images, you can see the creek channel, and I have marked it, and I'll have to figure out which one it is, guys. My apologies. Struggling here to find it. That might actually be it right there. So what I did was I just looked at the color there. You can see the color changes, and that's going to be your creek channel. Now it looks like it kind of swings here out a little bit, and then it comes back in. So I've marked that entire creek channel for you. That is a great place to fish. You got grass up there. You got shallow stuff. Always a good area to go fishing up in there. You've also got a couple ramps up here. So you've got a ramp here and a ramp here. And then moving around that point, not any rock or anything like that, but there are a couple more ramps. You've got one here and two in the back here as well. And then you've got an old ramp that's just right here. And it looks like, I can't tell if maybe it's a community ramp, but it doesn't look like it gets used that much. So that would be a really good one to fish. And then as we move down here, we didn't really find any laydowns or anything like that, anything spectacular to look at, but there is a ramp back in there as well. I mean, you can see, guys, these bank lines. There's not a lot here, and I don't want to waste a bunch of your time marking a bunch of nonsense. So I didn't mark a lot of that, but make sure that you watch the offshore videos for Lake Fork, because this lake is really good for offshore fishing. So make sure to take advantage of that. So you've got some ramps here as well. Back here by this fishing pier, I found some laydowns back here. Now this is probably like a brush pile they put out there or something like that, but it's pretty significant. It's a big old tree, you can see. So I would definitely want to go around there and flip around there. And just to the side of it is a boat ramp as well. So, double. You get double your money right there. Awesome. Another ramp back in here. One back in here. This one looks super shallow back there. This ramp here. And then there's a laydown. There's actually a little bit of a high spot here, you can tell, with some timber on the edge of it. But if you look right in here, excuse me, there's a laydown that's right here. That's very significant. So take a look at that one. And then another one that's back here in the corner as well. And then I'm going to keep moving on down. When we get down around this side, really what I noticed here, I didn't notice too many things, but there's a pretty good ditch that's coming right along this bank line. If you look right here, you can see it's kind of made its way. And I don't know if that's an old pond, and that's where that pond probably drains out at. But that would be a really good area to look at, because I can see them stacking up in something like that. That's a kind of a off the beaten path ditch that a lot of people aren't going to pay attention to, and you never know, that could be the money hole. So go and take a look at it for sure. We've got ramps out here as well. So we've got a ramp there. Moving on down here, we got another ramp. Instead of making you guys dizzy, I'm just going to point these ramps out. We've got another ramp right here. And then moving along here, not seeing too much, but I'm telling you, these points are going to be good, and we're going to talk about them when we talk about the offshore spots. But these points are going to be really good points to fish. And then moving down through here, I did notice a couple things here. First off, there's some brush piles. So let me zoom in here and show them to you. And we talked about it in the last Google Earth Waypoint video. I'm not so much a big of a fan on the vertical timber. I know it works and you can catch fish off of it and stuff like that. But if you can get me on some horizontal timber, some stuff that's laying down, I much prefer to fish that. So you got a couple good brush piles that are here. You've also got a roadbed that goes from this side all the way over. So definitely scan around that, see what you can find. I noticed there's trees and stuff in there too, so that's got to be a pretty good spot. And then way back in here, I don't know if you'd want to go this far back, but there is some laydowns back in here as well. So you crappie fishermen might want to go back in there. It looks like it's right by a golf course too, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to move on down here from the point. Not too much as far as laydowns or rocks or anything like that. It's pretty much all the same here. Again, those offshore hotspots we'll talk about. But if we move over here to the other side, there's actually a ditch that's back in here too. And we talked about that one that was on the other side. This one's about the same. Real significant ditch, kind of a little bit off the main lake, not too far off the main lake. So possible springtime type thing. Or maybe even now, you never know. So go back there and take a look at it. That ditch is there, and I've marked it for you on the Google Earth waypoints. So make sure that to go back there. I'll stop saying that. I keep repeating myself. All right, so we're going to keep on moving up here. Now we actually found some rock, which was, as you heard me say on the last video, it's pretty kind of rare out here. But there's a little rock pile right here, and you can see it if I zoom in. It's right here. Nothing else around it, just that muddy, crappy bank line that we have. But then all of a sudden you just got this pile of rocks that's right there. So if you just come out here, look for that little golf course, and it's right off the side of it is where that rock pile is. And that's probably going to be a really good spot to fish. Back in here, we got a couple more ramps. So ramp there, one here. This back here, I couldn't tell what in the world this is. I don't know if this is an old ramp. If there's a break right here, almost looks like there's a break off to the north of it right here. So I couldn't really tell. So I just put check there because it's something that's totally different than everything out there that's around it. So my guess is they're going to collect there. So I would want to go and look at that for sure. And there's another ramp that's over here too, but I just put check this little dock. This whole thing looks interesting. Back in here, we've got another ditch that kind of goes through here, or a creek, like an old creek bed. But I went ahead and marked the ditch right there, right on that bend. That could be good. And then a ramp back in there as well. I'm going to kind of move over here. Again, we'll talk about that offshore stuff here in a minute. All these points just look so juicy. And then I'm going to get back in here. And again, we've just got ramp city. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ramps back here. And if you really wanted to get back in here, there's actually some laydowns back in here as well that you can see. I didn't mark those. I'm not sure how good of a hotspot this is going to be back in here, but if you're on that ramp pattern, it definitely could be. Or if you're looking for laydowns, looking for crappie, maybe go back in there and check out that brush that's laying back down in there. All right, so I'm going to keep on moving on. I'm going to go around this point. We've got a couple laydowns off the edge of this point, but there's quite a few of them, and I don't know how deep they're going to be. They look actually pretty shallow, so I didn't mark those. I did mark the ramp though. And then moving up here past these points, we get back in here. We've got a lot more ramps as well. So 4 different ramps back in this pocket, just old personal ramps. You've got another one that's back over here as well. And then if we get back in here, we got a really nice creek channel that goes all the way through here. And I really like that. I like how defined it is. I like how they could, you could really hone them into a certain area there. So take a look at that creek channel. My apologies, guys. I have a dry throat today, and I am having a hard time talking. All right, so we also have another ramp here, one here as well. Got a kind of a long point here. A ramp, another ramp. It's just ramps, and more ramps. Another ramp here as well. When we get out off of this point, we're going to come around. Didn't see too much in that area, but I did see some rock that was right in here. I'm going to zoom in here and you'll start to see it. It's right there. So nice little rock pile with a lot of timber around it. This could be an interesting spot to go and explore if you can get to it. That's the trick, is on fork. Some of this stuff is really hard to get to. And then moving up here, you've also got another ramp that's way back in this pocket. Little boat docks and things like that. This could be a good little springtime thing, but I don't think I'd waste too much time there, especially in the summer. I wouldn't even bother going back there. And then as we move up here to kind of finish off zone 2, a couple different things to look at here. We got lots of ramps. But we do have a couple laydowns and some other things to look at too, though. So we've got a laydown that's right here. That's pretty significant. And you got, got a lot of stuff around this little boat dock. So I fished this whole area right in here. You got a nice ramp back in here with some pads, all that good stuff. And then you got additional ramps that are over in here. Of course, if you're fishing shallow, all these look like pads and some kind of weeds or something growing in there. So I would definitely go take a look at it. And then going back in here, you got these 2 ramps that are back in here. And I always like these pinch points. If you can ever find these pinch points like this, sometimes they can be really, really good producers. So if you're back here and you're going to go fish that ramp, go back here and take a look at this. This looks like an old pond, and maybe the dam's just kind of busted out there. But anywhere right in here, you got good shade in there and everything, or right in here in this pinch point. You got another ramp that's over there. And then off of this point, we got a little bit of shallow rock. Now I pulled it up to see if this is actually underwater when the lake is at full pool, and it is underwater. So I just don't know how much. I don't know if it's a foot or 2 foot or what it is. But anyways, take a look and see what you can find. Maybe you could throw a square belly up against a lot of this stuff. It's just like brick and rock, and it's rock here, but then it's like this concrete brick and stuff along the seawall on this side. So sometimes those seawalls can be really, really good. It's just they're kind of hit and miss for me. We've got some more rock that's up here. So I would say really fish from basically the tip of that point right there until about right here, and get as close as you can to the shoreline and try to bang stuff around or right up against that seawall, because that's going to be where your rock and all your debris is. And then move it up here. We just got a couple more ramps. Got another ramp here, one way back there in that pocket. I think that was the last one for zone 2. So that really covers us for zone 2 on Lake Fork. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to go over the offshore hotspots for zone 2, and then we'll follow that up with zones 3, 4, and 5. So I hope you catch your PB, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure to go out and check out our site, simplisticfish.square.site. You can get all these waypoints plus the offshore hotspots all on a card where you can just plug it into your graph and go. So make sure to go check out our site. Look forward to talking to you guys. Take it easy. Catch your PB. Holler at you.